Hey everyone, today, I'm breaking down the 2010 remake of the iconic horror film, A Nightmare on Elm Street. If you're a fan of psychological horror and terrifying dreamscapes, you're in for a treat. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a recap. Now, let's dive into the nightmare. Act 1, The Diner Nightmare. Our story kicks off in a classic American diner, where we meet Dean, a high school student who looks like he hasn't slept in days. He's sitting across from his friend Crease, and he's clearly on edge, his eyes bloodshot and his hands trembling. Dean tells Crease about a terrifying recurring dream he has been having, a nightmare featuring a horribly burned man with a striped sweater and a glove fitted with razor-sharp blades. Dean tells Crease about a terrifying recurring dream he has been having, a nightmare featuring a horribly burned man with a striped sweater and a glove fitted with razor-sharp blades. Crease tries to calm him down, but Dean is convinced that if he falls asleep, he'll die. The conversation takes a dark turn when Dean suddenly appears to fall asleep right there at the table. But here's where things get truly horrific. Dean isn't just sleeping. In his nightmare, the burned man appears and viciously attacks him with those blade fingers. Back in the real world, the diner patrons watch in absolute horror as Dean appears to be cutting his own throat, convulsing violently before collapsing dead on the table. The camera pulls back to reveal slash marks across his throat, but there's no weapon anywhere. Talk about a brutal opening. This sets the terrifying tone for everything that follows. These aren't just bad dreams, they're deadly. After Dean's shocking death, we're introduced to the rest of our main cast. There's Nancy Holbrook, played by Rooney Mara, a quiet and artistic girl who works at the local bookstore. She's intelligent, observant, and as we'll soon discover, she's made of tougher stuff than she appears. Then we have Crease, Dean's ex-girlfriend, who's traumatized by witnessing his death. There's Jesse, Crease's boyfriend, who's trying to be supportive but is clearly out of his depth. And finally, there's Quentin, Nancy's childhood friend who works at the same bookstore. He's a bit of a loner, but he's loyal and resourceful. What connects all these kids? They all attended the same preschool bed in preschool. And here's the kicker, they're all starting to have the same nightmare about the burned man. They see him in an old boiler room, hear his raspy voice, and feel his presence even when they're awake. The sleep deprivation is hitting them hard. They're chugging energy drinks, taking cold showers. Anything to stay awake. Nancy confides in Quentin that she's been drawing pictures of the man from her dreams, and when Quentin sees them, his blood runs cold. He's been seeing the same person. Something is connecting them all, and it's coming from their past. Chris is next on the nightmare hit list. Despite Jesse staying over to watch her, exhaustion eventually wins, and Chris falls asleep. She finds herself in a nightmare version of her own bedroom. The walls are decayed. Everything is distorted, and there's a sense of wrongness permeating everything. That's when he appears. Freddy Krueger, played menacingly by Jackie Earle Haley, steps out of the shadows. His face is a mass of burned scars. His fedora casts shadows over his eyes, and that glove, those finger knives gleaming in the dim light, his pure nightmare fuel. His voice is a gravelly whisper as he tells Chris, "Did you know that after the heart stops beating, the brain keeps functioning for well over 7 minutes? We got 6 more minutes to play." Freddy chases Crease through the nightmare, and the physics of the dream world are terrifying. She runs down hallways that stretch impossibly long, doors that lead nowhere, and reality itself seems to bend to Freddy's will. In the real world, Jesse watches helplessly as Crease thrashes in bed, seemingly fighting an invisible attacker. The nightmare reaches its horrific climax when Freddy catches Crease and slashes her repeatedly. In reality, Jesse watches as Crease is lifted into the air by an unseen force, slashed, and thrown around the room like a rag doll. Blood sprays across the walls and ceiling. Jesse tries to help her, but when other people arrive, it looks like he murdered her. He's arrested immediately, covered in her blood, and with no way to explain what really happened. With Dean and Chris dead, Nancy and Quentin realize they're in danger. Nancy starts researching sleep and dreams, trying to understand what's happening. She discovers something called micronaps, brief moments where your brain enters REM sleep even when you're trying to stay awake. This means Freddy can get them anytime, anywhere, even if they think they're awake. Terrifying, right? Nancy starts having her own encounters with Freddy in her dreams. She learns his name when he introduces himself, and she begins to remember things from her childhood at Badham Preschool that she'd forgotten. Freddy tells her cryptically, "You remember now, don't you?" But Nancy's memories are fragmented and confusing. Meanwhile, Jesse is locked up in jail, and despite desperately trying to stay awake, he eventually falls asleep. Freddy appears in his cell, and in a gruesome scene, Jesse is killed, slashed, and murdered in his locked cell with no explanation for the author. The police are baffled, but Nancy and Quentin know exactly what happened. The two survivors decide they need answers. Nancy confronts her mother, and after some intense pressure, her mom finally breaks down and reveals the truth. Freddy Krueger was a gardener at their preschool years ago. He took special interest in the children, particularly the kids in their class. The parents eventually discovered that Freddy had been abusing the children in a hidden room in the school. But here's where it gets darker. The police couldn't make the charges stick due to a lack of evidence. So the parents of Elm Street took justice into their own hands. They tracked Freddy down to the power plant where he worked, cornered him in the boiler room, and set the place on fire, burning him alive. Nancy's mother shows her a picture of Freddy before the burns, and Nancy recognizes him from her suppressed childhood memories. Nancy and Quentin head to the ruins of the old preschool, now abandoned and decrepit. They need to understand the full truth, whether they were really abused or if there is something else going on. As they explore the dark, crumbling building, Nancy starts to remember more. She recalls a hidden cave that Freddy used to take them to a secret room where he would spend time alone with the children. They find the cave, and inside are disturbing drawings and photographs. But as Nancy pieces together her memories, something doesn't add up. She realizes that Freddy never actually abused them. The children had made up stories because they wanted attention, and the parents, in their rage and fear, had killed an innocent man. Or so it seems. But Quentin discovers something else. Older photographs. Evidence that there were indeed crimes committed, that children had been hurt. The truth is murky and horrifying. Whether Freddy was guilty or innocent in life doesn't matter anymore in death. He's become something far worse. He's a vengeful spirit using their guilt, their fear, and their dreams against them. Nancy realizes something crucial. Freddy has no power in the real world. He exists only in the dream realm. If they can somehow pull him out of the nightmare and into reality, he can be killed for good. It's a dangerous plan, but it's their only shot at survival. Nancy decides to go into the dream world one last time to confront Freddy, but she has Quentin in the real world to pull her out if things go wrong. She takes pills to help her fall into a deep sleep and enters the nightmare armed with the knowledge of the truth. In the dream world, Nancy finds herself back in the boiler room where Freddy died, his domain, his hunting ground. The walls drip with darkness, steam hisses from broken pipes, and Freddy's presence is everywhere. He appears confident and sadistic, ready to claim his final victim. "Why are you screaming?" he taunts. "I haven't even cut you yet." The chase is intense and surreal. Nancy runs through impossible architecture, staircases that lead in circles, rooms that fold in on themselves, and doorways that open to nowhere. Freddy is toying with her, appearing and disappearing, his claws scraping against metal pipes, creating that signature screech that haunts nightmares. But Nancy isn't helpless anymore. She has learned to manipulate the dream world herself, using her lucidity to alter elements of the nightmare. She fights back, and in a crucial moment, she grabs Freddy. In the real world, Quentin sees Nancy's hands gripping something invisible. Following their plan, he uses adrenaline to wake Nancy up, and incredibly, she pulls Freddy through with her into the waking world. Freddy materializes in Nancy's bedroom, confused and weakened outside his dream realm. Nancy and Quentin fight him together in a desperate physical struggle. They manage to set him on fire, and Freddy burns once again, screaming as he's consumed by flames. His body crumbles to ash, and silence finally falls. Nancy and Quentin have survived. They're exhausted, traumatized, but alive. Nancy goes to see her mother, who's been sedated and hospitalized from the stress of everything that's happened. As Nancy sits beside her sleeping mother, she finally allows herself to relax, believing the nightmare is truly over. But in a chilling final moment, Nancy's mother suddenly convulses in bed. In what appears to be a dream attack, Freddy's clawed hand bursts through the hospital bed, dragging Nancy's mother down into the mattress as Nancy screams. The implication is clear: Freddy isn't truly gone. He still exists in the dream world. And as long as people sleep, as long as people dream, Freddy Krueger will never truly die. The screen cuts to black with Freddy's sinister laugh echoing in the darkness. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you on my next video.